Hi. So today's is a little tutorial about how to export some text done in 3D using the SVG format, and so you can use it later in VectorStyler. So I just try to give some very simple steps. You don't need to be a super professional on Blender. I am not myself, but with basic moves I will show you, I think you will be able to have some fun export and fights. Okay, so once you download Blender, you will probably get this kind of a splash screen. The only difference is on the first time it offers you to choose some features like spacebar features, but you can choose the way you want, and also maybe, I don't remember exactly, but maybe if you use the right mouse click or left mouse click for selection. So of course I suggest you use the left mouse click, which is the most common use in most software, but it's some kind of old stuff from the old Blender. Anyway, so this is the only things, and for the rest you will roughly get to what you see here. When I will start, you will see on the bottom left here, you will see my mouse and the keyboard, the key I use. Okay, so as you know, you can just play it again if it's not super clear. I try my best, and I am a damn Frenchy, so you have to be used to my accent. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so this is the splash screen you have. I just click, and this is the default scene, the traditional default scene. So in that case, the first thing we do is it's a classic in Blender, but in that case I will erase the cube here. Okay, so to erase the cube, I press X and I click delete. Okay, so this is it. We have a 3D space with a X-axis, Y-axis, and the Z-axis, the Z-axis vertically. Okay, you can find the same here, and the good thing is they use the same color. Okay, so red for X, green for Y, and blue for Z. So this is quite easy to recognize. I say that because I'm using a laptop, so I will use this gizmo here to change the view, because most of the times people, they use some shortcuts using the numpad, and I don't have any numpad on my laptop, so that's why I will just use basically this gizmo to change. But we are not doing very sophisticated 3D, so it's not a big deal. Once you know that, you just need to know how to move inside your image. At the beginning, this is the center of the world here, and this is where the new objects are created most of the time. So if you want to move on this 3D space, what you do is you click on your wheel, which is also, you can see left bottom, you can see I'm pressing my my wheel, which is both a wheel and a mouse button, and if you move it, then you see you can play around. Okay, so this is it. If for some reason you are a little bit too far, like you have been moving, you see probably what you do is you press shift first and then your mouse button, and you move it while holding shift, and you can go back. Okay, this is very simple. Here you have a camera. The camera will be the view that we render later. Okay, so the angle here, we will have to change it, of course, to make it isometric, but this is the angle will be this camera, but you can still work. We don't have to be in the camera all the time, and you can work around, and just the camera is for the render. Okay, here's the default light, you can keep it or not. In our case, it's not very important. Last thing you have to know is two state of creating most of the time when you do this kind of 3D stuff is the object mode. You can see it here, which allows you to create new objects, to move them, to scale them, and to rotate them. Mainly this is basically what it does. And when you want to make some more sophisticated changes, you press tab. Okay, you press tab and you will switch to the edit mode. Of course, you need to have some object selected. Okay, and here you will see also a lot of the panel. We have render output, and some options which will appear according to the kind of object we have. So now I raised my my cube. What we want to do, this is the object of this little tutorial, is to make a text. Okay, so I press Shift A. Okay, like I add something, and I will add a text. You can see it here, text. Okay, and you see this is here. Like I said, it appears at the center of the world, and by default it's written text. So what we want now is just to see this text, of course, the most flattened way. So we have to go to the Z view here. You press, so you can press numpad 7 or just Z like this. You use the mouse wheel if you want to zoom in or zoom out. And now you have this text, okay? So this text, you want to change it. So like I said, you are in object mode. This is where you can move, scale or rotate object. So I press tab and you can see this is different menu, and here you see the typical bar. Like you can change the text like in most of the text application. So I will make it using a name we all know, and I push tab again. Okay, so now it's the text I want. I want to have this text centered according to the center of the world here. So what I said is, you see here you have different options and they depend on the object which is selected. So right now it's the text which is selected, and you can see here you have data, and this is where most of the things will appear. And here you can see a lot of things. You can see like in Word or Page or whatever software you use for your text. So the alignment, so I would choose center, and in that case I will just keep the top baseline, but if I want I can also put it in the middle. Okay, so classic. Okay, this is it. So now we have our text which is centered. Okay, if you want to change the font, you can just go here and you can press here and you can find some other fonts. Okay, in my case I will stay with my basic font, but you can have a lot of different fonts. Okay, so right now I'm not moving it. If you have special fonts, sometimes you can need to have to change the space between each letter. Okay, each character. Command Z. So in that case I don't need it, but in some case you may need it. Okay, so this is really what you want. So now I press my mouse as a third button and I move you up. Okay, and I unscroll it. Okay, which is how it looks like. So now you see the camera is here, so I want my text to be extruded and of course to be well oriented. So to orient it the right way, what I need is to do a rotation. So I am in object mode here. My text is selected. I press R for rotation, X because this is the axis where I want the rotation to appear, and 90. And then return or enter, call it. Okay, and so now our text is like, is not laying on the floor, it's vertical. Yes, that is good. And now the last part is extrusion. And like I said, you still have your text selected, and you're still inside here your text options, and you go to geometry, and as you can see there is extrude. Okay, and you change it. You can type a value as well using your row here, or just making row, whatever. Okay, so here I zoom a little bit with my mouse wheel and I press, and we have a nice 3D text. Okay, so now the part will be exporting. So to export it, first you have, when you are in Blender, you have some add-ons that has to be switched on, Add-ons is like plugins, and some of them are already available in Blender, some have to be downloaded. If I remember correctly, I hope I do, this add-on is already inside. So you go to Edit, Preferences, and Add-ons here, okay? And you will search for free. You type here free and you will see what happened here. So VectorStyler SVG exporter, and this is the add-on that will allow you to export as SVG, which is what we want to use it later in VectorStyler. Okay, so just check this is, and you have to check the box. Okay, it's not up. Okay, up is checked. Okay. So now we have our text, and now we want just want to export it as a SVG. So you have here to consider the two parts here, the output and render. Okay, for the output, it gives you the resolution, and also it gives you the spot where you want to place your file. In that case, I will just press here, and we go to the desktop. Okay, desktop. And I accept it. Okay, as you can see, the export format is PNG, but we don't care. You will see what happened every time you make a render. The render will appear, and it will generate a SVG file at the same time. And if you do a new render, it will just generate another SVG file, and it will just collapse the previous one. So you don't have to save it. You will see how. So this is what we want, and so for the output, and you just go to the render. You can choose Eevee, you can choose actually workbench if you want. Cycles, it's not very important. The only thing you have to do is here you have VectorStyler SVG export. You have to check this box and just roll it a little bit, and VectorStyler here. VectorStyler will show you the line, the outline. Okay. So this is good. So now we are good about the export. The only thing we miss is the view, how to have the view we want. Remember, we say we want isometric view. So this is the camera. We select the camera here. Here is all the object you have in the scene. In that case, we have 3 objects in the scene: a camera, a light, and a text. Okay, I press camera. And as you can see here, the options, some of them are similar, but some are different because it adjusts to the new object. So this camera, I will first choose not to be a perspective, but orthographic. Okay. Orthographic means parallel perspective. So it may be any axonometric drawing, including, of course, isometric. So this is the choice you have to make. As you can see, this is the camera here. You want to view as a camera, okay? You want to see what the camera is seeing. So just go here, you see, and you toggle to the camera view. And now what you see is the camera view, okay? But you have to be sure that we are inside an isometric view, which is specific settings, so it's not exactly the case right now. So the two parts you have to do is here you see the data of the camera, and here object. Okay, you press object and you can see the location of this object, means where is the camera, rotation, and other things in the scale. Okay, and the rotation is the important part that makes you able to make an isometric view. Okay, so I just press, instead of 63 blah blah blah, I will press 54.7. In some case you can say 736, but 7 is okay. This is first part. Second part you say 45. And now what you have here is isometric view. Okay, so the two things you have to do now is you have this text here. You can just play with Z, X, and Y. Okay, this you just need to check what you want. This is by playing with the location of a cam, so it helps you to center your image. And the second part is when you go to the data, here you have the orthographic scale and it helps you to zoom in or zoom out. Means I press and I go right or left, and you see I'm zooming in or zooming out. Okay, so now the job is done. Means we have a text, the text is extruded, we have isometric view, but we just need to make a render. I render the image. This is what you see now. Don't bother, it's no problem about the light, because you will not see the light. The SVG file will have only the black line. You can see the outline, you can see it here, okay? And it has been generated automatically. What I mean is you don't need to go to image and save, because if you go to do that, what it will save is this view as a PNG. Simply at the place we save output was, in my case is desktop, I will have my SVG file. Okay, so this is the first part. Okay, so now we are in a VectorStyler. So what I will do is I will open the file. I told you it was on my desktop. It's called 001 SVG. You can see it. It's the VectorStyler text. I open it and I have it. I have a complete shape I want, which is good. However, you can see like, oh, it's a little bit complicated. We cannot make miracles, but we can just a little bit refine it. Okay, first thing, I select the text and I ungroup it. Once I'm done, I just draw some shape here. Okay, select all, Command A, and I use divide. Okay, divide shape. Okay, I click out and I just erase. So now we just need to erase little portions like here to create these little holes. Okay. Okay, seems not too bad. That's the first part. Okay, the second thing is you will see, you can use Command Y, you will see that some shape a little bit not so perfect on the T. In that case, on the T. It may happen in other letters depending on the font you use, but on the T we have here is not really what we want. Means we want more of this part and this part. So you can just solve a problem. You will just take this shape, for instance, and you can just say that you copy and paste. Okay, so now you have another shape. You give it a different color so it's more easy to identify. Okay, and I'm playing option wheel, and okay, and now I just erase some part I don't want. Okay, and then we're good. And what I just need to do is taking this and this, and you associate them. Okay, you just use the Pathfinder, the other Pathfinder. Okay, zoom out, and it will be something similar, not exactly the same, but a little bit similar for the other T. Okay. So I take it, Okay, and I do the same. I take this, and I just create a union. Okay, now we are good. So what I can do now is just creating a little background. So a letter will pop up here. I create it. I go here, send to back. Okay, so first is to do create here. For instance, this is a round shape. Okay, so I will create some gradient. I can make the orientation. I will make it more subtle. So I click once on the black, so I just play with gray shades. Okay, I don't need to. Okay, this is it. Here I can just play with this. Okay. And this one I will use a gradient as well, because we still are on round shape. Okay, I press black ones, so it gives me just okay. So it gives you an idea of how it is. And now, once we have the value you want to use, we just need to duplicate them on the other part. Okay, so what I do is I choose the style picker here. Okay, style picker, and I just keep this tool and I just use command. And when I use command, you see it become a selection arrow, and you can select. So I select, I click, and every time I select. Okay, and I have something which is similar. Okay, so of course you just need to do it for all the shape you need. This one can be even a little bit brighter. Why not? Of course, you can adjust using the gradient tool. If you want to have it a little bit more, you can choose. Etc. etc. So I think you get the process, get the idea, and this is how you get in the end some result. I can just open recent. Nope. Yes. Okay, this is the kind of result, a little bit more subtle than what I just did live. This is the kind of result we can have, and what is important is if you do Command Y, you see that it's still quite clean. It's not too messy. So I think it's an interesting effect.